During my last post, my son came by, and I had to sort of flip the phone because I didn't want him to be conscious of him coming in back of me. But he said, I brought something. And of course my ears pricked up. And to my nice surprise, it was something that God had put in the mind of man to create. I'm not saying God created it or God made it. Sometimes he allows men to make certain things. And this particular creation, actually, I'm glad that God allowed man to make this. Because whatever problems that you may have, whatever pressure you have at work, whatever you're going through, at least for the time that you take in obtaining that object and then eating that object, you tend to forget the problems that you have. And that is a donut. Yes, today, this session is going to be about the powers of a donut. Now, of course, donuts come in a variety of flavors and shapes and sizes. If you're in California, Southern California, many of you are used to or have seen at some time, either you pass by it if you're on the 405 in West LA, or you have seen it in the movies. Randy's Donuts. It's become a Southern California icon. It may even be we call it one of those, one of those places where you have to preserve it. But whether it's a small donut hole or it's a twist, see, first of all, I like glaze. That's me. I'm a glazed man. I'm not necessarily into sprinkles, although a lot of people do like sprinkles. Sometimes I like a little bit of chocolate on my donuts, but I'm mainly a glazed person. But you can get various sizes and so on. What's my wife had turned me on to this place in Orange County called Sidecar. And I was introduced to the bacon donut, which actually has bacon bits on it. And I said, man, where has that been all my life? I fell in love with that. Don't get to eat it very much because it's actually quite expensive, so I don't make it a habit of getting it. But every so often I'll treat myself to something like that. I think last time I took my wife driving in the area, we actually stopped by there and got a donut. But what makes a donut such a healer? Yeah, believe me, I know, saints, I know. God's the healer. God is the one that heals. I understand. But there are times where God will work through a donut. It's not the physical pain that even though sometimes when you eat a donut, you feel it, especially if it's a warm donut, it just melts in your mouth. I mean the good quality. I don't mean the kind you get from Hostess. I don't mean those. No. I don't mean those you get in the bag and so on. You know, that essentially is like eating it's like eating a cookie. No, the donut is not a cookie. It's something that is supposed to melt in your mouth, but still have some texture to it. But it's soft. And they can even say it's gooey, not too gooey that it just gets nasty, but it's something that essentially you almost can't explain a good donut. And I've been thinking about it because as a son passed by with the donuts, I went in there just looking, telling him a story, and said, I know, Dad, you want a donut. Yeah, I do. You do it. And we have this donut shop that's close to our house. And if we can't make it to Randy's, which is all the way across town, and can't make it to Sidecar because it's in Newport Beach, then got our own local donut shop that if we get there in time and they don't run out of donuts, because they run out of donuts out of fresh donuts by 8:30 to 9 o'clock, and then everything you have until it closes during 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, everything else is stale. But if you get there in time, it's a nice, melts in your mouth type of thing. But the healing properties of a donut, I believe God allowed man to create the donut for a reason. As I said, you go to a high-powered job and everything is so, go. And then if you have a little break, if they serve a donut, yeah, gotta have that donut, yeah. If you're driving somewhere and you feel like you are lost or something, oh, there's a donut shop, let's turn by there, yeah. But there's something in the power of a thing like that God allows man to create something that, as the donut melts in your mouth, the problem is seen, at least for that particular time, until you finish eating it. Now, once you finish eating it, then the problems come back. But while you're eating it, it's so good. The donut is so good. And again, it comes in all kinds of flavors. If you want it filled with something, if you want sprinkles on it, if you want icing on it, if you want it, instead of the old regular hole size, you have it in donut holes where you have these little bits of donut, or you twist, or if you even get those cinnamon swirl type donuts. And again, you can make them into all kind of possibilities. But they must have the property, unless you're talking about a cake donut. Now, a cake donut to me is not really a donut. It's cake that's put in the form of a donut. That's not a donut to me. That's not a donut. Okay? Remember, a donut to me has to melt in your mouth as you're eating it. If it doesn't do that, it can't qualify for a donut. I said, Elder Haven, why are you talking about donuts so much? Sometimes it's just good to just sit and relax. There's so many problems that take place in this world. There's so many things that we have to go through because we're in this world. And sometimes it's just good to reflect about how good God is. How they say that song, count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what the Lord has done. Something of that particular nature. That you're counting your blessings, you're thanking God. I know across the country it is freezing. People don't have the chance to sit out in the sun like I'm doing here in Southern California. But it's snow and it's freezing, and if you go outside for a little bit, you get frostbite. So you have to be careful. You have to stay in the house, and hopefully you paid your bill. And so I said all those problems. I don't understand it because I haven't lived in that area, but I have empathy for you. Of course, Southern California has its own issues with smog, which we got used to it. So we all got coal miners' lungs, or we call it the occasional fire that threatens to burn down the entire city. which some people would like for it to happen, because this is a den of iniquity. So essentially we have to understand that we are living in the middle of Sodom. But even in this place, there are even saved people in Sodom, and that's probably why this place hasn't been destroyed. And thank God that He's given us grace. But back to my subject about the donut. Why do they make a donut with a hole in it? What is the purpose to it? Maybe it's because if they made it solid, it really, unless it's real small like a donut hole, then you really don't have that texture, that property of it melting in your mouth. And it's not a chocolate, it's not like sugar. It has sugar, but it has a little bit more nutritious value, although a person that eats donuts all their life is not going to be a very healthy person. I understand that. But just for that time, if you have an issue, if you're thinking about problems, if you're thinking about things taking place, you forget about that as you eat a nice donut. It's just, when it melts, it's like for the time being, your problems melt, your concerns melt, your worries melt. And I'm thinking something that as good as a donut, that's almost universal. Most people will actually take a donut. Again, I don't think a cake donut is a donut, but some people, it's okay for them, so that's fine. Eat a cake donut. Do it. Eat a cake donut. It's okay. That's just for me. That's the good thing about a donut, too, is that there's so many different types of donuts. As I said before, I had one that they put maple bacon bits on it, and oh, it was so delicious. And you give someone a donut, and you can see them smiling. It's very hard to frown when you have a donut in your mouth. Of course, it's hard to frown when you have anything in your mouth, but a donut especially. Sometimes the things that God creates, or God allows man to create, we just have to thank Him for allowing that to happen. Some of you, you've been through so much, and sometimes the days seem long and the nights even longer because of things that have happened in your life. And just let you know that God's with you. He wants you to know that you can have peace. You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to have sorrow, even in sorrowful times. That God is with you. Sometimes He's just a prayer away. Sometimes He's just a call away. I don't mean get on the phone. I mean to call on His name. I'm hurting, Lord. I'm hurt. Like a very simple prayer. I'm scared. I'm hurt. I'm pressed. I'm beaten down. Just know God hears you. He hears your call. He hears your cry, especially if you are one of His children. But the Father will never forsake His children. It may seem like you're going through and no one knows, but God knows. Believe me, I know this. That God knows, He understands. He sees your tears that you cry all the time. And He's not bothered by the tears, but He sits there to dry them. But then He lets you cry as well. He doesn't tell you, you don't have to cry, you don't have to cry, I'm here, you don't have to cry. Well, no, you cry anyway. Cry as much as you want. Because the Lord knows those are healing tears. These are tears that actually build up instead of break down. But if you don't cry them, then you're still broken. Whereas the tears that are healing tears, they're the first step in building yourself back up again. And as the Lord begins to dry your tears, take your keys, go to your car, start the ignition, get your car out the driveway, go down the street to your favorite donut house. Because those tears need to be dried. Not only on the outside, but on the inside as well. And one good thing that can dry your tears is a nice, warm donut. Elder Heyman, you're being so flippant. Sometimes it's good to be flippant. Sometimes it's good not to be serious, but to thank God for all things. All things, and everything give thanks. Well, this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. Everything give thanks. Even thank Him for that donut that you're holding in your hand right now. God bless you and take care. I love you all in Jesus' name.